Hello, today we are going to start the new course, Developmental Psychology, with a course code of Psych 269. I'm Dr.Genet Yesus. So we will see 11 units and we will start with Unit 1. So let us first define the word developmental and psychology. So the word psychology is derived from two Greek words, that means psyche and logos. That means psyche means soul and logos means study. So psychology is defined as the study of soul or the mind. Psychology is a scientific study of human behavior and mental process. So its goal is to understand the behavior of human beings through description, explanation, prediction, and control. When we come to behavior, it refers to any activity or action of a human being or an animal which can be observed directly or indirectly. So it can be cognitive. There is cognitive behavior, affective behavior, and psychomotor behavior. Development is an irreversible sequence of states. So we can't reverse development. It starts from conception to death. So developmental psychology is a branch of psychology that studies developmental changes of human beings from conception till to death. So this is not only description but explanation of age-related changes in behavior. There is also child psychology. It is a part of developmental psychology that studies a child as an individual. So it studies the specific stage of individual development that begins from prenatal period, that is before birth, and ends with the onset of adolescence. There are two main approaches to study child psychology. The earlier approach was described the age-related changes in child behavior, and the contemporary approach, however, is concerned with the process that produces and accounts for the changes that take place in child behavior. And the terms that we have to know is early child development. It refers to the physical, cognitive, linguistic, and socio-emotional development of a child from conception up to the age of 6 to 7. This period is the key to the full and productive life of a child and to progress for the progress of a nation. Early childhood is a critical stage of development that forms the foundation for children's future well-being and learning. So we mainly focus on childhood. Childhood is one of the stages of development. So this course gives emphasis to childhood. Research has shown that a person's intelligence potential is developed by the age of 4, and that early childhood intervention can have a lasting effect on intellectual capacity, personality, and social behavior of a child. This is all about Unit 1. Let us go to Unit 2, that is the meanings of basic concepts in human development. It is a foundation for this course to know the concepts in human development. Basic terms in human development are growth, maturation, learning, and development. When we say growth, used to describe physical quantitative changes of the body. It indicates increase in terms of body proportions such as weight, height, size, internal and external body organs. Growth mainly determined by heredity, nutrition, hormones, and emotional states. When we come to maturation, maturation is the unfolding characteristics of the individuals genetically influenced. Often, age-related is a basic factor of the process of child development. In another word, maturation moreover refers to qualitative changes. As we have seen, growth is quantitative change, and when we come to maturation, it is a qualitative change in behavior and body due to aging process. It means readiness or reaping of a certain part of the body to start its function of growth, such as to engage in a certain activity, such as working, speaking, and writing starts. The other concept is learning. Learning is a relatively permanent change of behavior. So that occurs in an individual as a result of environmental factors such as experience, practice, and effort. It is a continuous process of acquisition of knowledge, skill, and formation of attitude to perform new behaviors. And learning takes place not only in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. So preschool children acquire different knowledge and skills through interaction with their parents, siblings, peers, teachers, and others. By changing behavior due to maturation, drugs, sickness, alcohol does not refer to the learning. The other concept is what we have to know is development. Development refers to systematic continuities and changes in the individual that occur between conception and death. By describing changes as systematic, we apply that they are orderly, patterned, and relatively enduring. So that temporary mood swings and other transitory changes in our appearances, thoughts, and behaviors are therefore excluded. So it is systematic and orderly, patterned, relatively enduring change in behavior that we call it development. Development occurs as a result of maturation and learning, so it implies quantitative as well as qualitative change. Both nature and nurture are important influencing factors on child development. When we say nurture, it is the environment. So both nature as well as nurture are important in influencing child's development. Let us go to chapter 3, basic principles about human development. There are principles to study human development. Basic principles of child development are principles that state facts related to the nature of child growth, development, that has important implications that include raising, guide, and teaching preschool children. As we are discussing now, this developmental psychology can influence or we can relate to our life. Also, we can influence parents or policymakers by studying human development. As stated by Harlock, the first principle is early foundations are critical or sensitive. Research has shown that the first few years of life influence later behavior to a large extent. Attitudes, habits, and pattern of behavior established during the early years determine to a larger extent how successfully individuals will adjust to life as they get older. So, according to especially psychoanalysis theory of Freud, it says that early periods are more critical than later. So, there is a poem, "The child is the father of the man." So, the behavior and activities of a person's childhood go a long way in building the personality of an individual. A second principle is development follows a definite and predictable pattern. So development follows orderly sequence, as we have said earlier, in all human beings and shows a high degree of similarity in order for various developments to appear. We can't reverse from adulthood to childhood. The sequence is always similar. It goes from conception, starts with conception and goes to childhood, then adulthood, and late adulthood. So unless environmental conditions prevent it, human development will follow a pattern similar for all. For example, babies creep, crawl before they walk. Similarly, the pattern of physical and motor development in children follows a certain direction. The third principle is all individuals are different. So all individuals develop at different rate. As Dovesky 2003 emphasized, every person is indeed biologically and genetically different from each other, even in the case of identical twins. There is evidence that differences increase rather than decrease as children go from childhood into adolescence and eventually to old age. So the difference increases as the age increases. The fourth principle is development is aided by stimulation. So development will occur as a result of maturation and environment. Much can be done to aid development so that it will reach its fullest potential. Parents, caregivers, preschool teachers should use different stimulation techniques to help children to develop faster in terms of different skills and abilities. For example, early stimulation like encouraging, rewarding, giving opportunity for playing, asking and answering questions, providing age-appropriate materials, etc., are one of the stimulation that parents or caregivers can give to their children. The fifth principle is every aspect of development is interrelated. So all aspects of development, we will see later on what are the aspects of development, physical, cognitive, language, socio-emotional, are interrelated. So the speech development of a child is affected if the child has difficulties in hearing clearly or if one talks directly to him or to her. A child who does not receive love and attention may fail to grow and develop. And finally, we have to remember that to develop to their best potential, children need huge amount of support, encouragement, and guidance from others in their life. So failure to meet all the needs of the babies and children can have serious consequences in their later development. Let us proceed to Unit 4, that is aspects of human development. Children development is not a matter of a single aspect, but it progresses somewhat differently for different aspects of the individual. For example, physical, motor, cognitive, language, and socio-emotional and moral development are some of the aspects of child development. Understanding all these aspects of child development has importance in planning effective child support mechanisms in preschools and also at classroom level. So understanding these aspects are very important for educators and also for parents as well. The first aspect is physical development. Physical development refers to the growth of body and brain, such as sensory capacities, motor development. Physical development is an important aspect of development during early childhood. It involves interplay between new physical capacities resulting from the child's actual growth and maturation and skills that develop from experience and training provided by adults. Growth is extraordinarily rapid during the first years, when the average baby gains about 10 inches and 50 pounds. So the rate of physical growth is slow during preschool years as compared to infancy and toddlerhood. Between birth and 2 years, for example, average weight increases from 90 to 32 inches. Average weight increases from 7 to 22 pounds. Average height increases from 90 to 32 inches, and average weight increases from 7 to 22 pounds. Growth is fairly steady through the preschool and elementary school years, about 3 inches and 7 to 8 pounds each year. So growth happens at earlier age very faster than the later years. In early adolescence, growth is rapid again. As children grow, their body parts develop at different rates. For example, the head and trunk grow faster than the legs. Genetic and environmental factors play a major role in determining the growth rate. Both sleep and nutrition are essential for a normal growth and health of a child. Sleep is essential because most growth hormones are secreted when children sleep. Children do poorly in school when they do not sleep well. In addition, the foods children eat and liquid or drink are very important for growth. Nutrition is particularly important during infancy and toddlerhood when physical growth is rapid. So, during childhood, environmental factors such as the nutrition, sleep, and are very important for children, for rapid growth of children. The other development aspect is motor development. It refers to the development of control over the bodily movements through the coordinated activity of the nerve centers, so the nerves and the muscles. This control comes from development of the reflexes and mass activity present at birth. So if a child is not properly, we are not giving him the necessary amount of vitamin D and so on, it affects the motor activity of the child. A child's body is preschool years is too flexible, and this enables preschoolers to learn many more skills. The development of fine motor control can be seen in the way a child attempts to draw using crayons or a pencil. So the child has to develop a fine motor skill in order to write. So this motor development is one aspect of development. The other aspect is cognitive development. It refers to the process involving knowledge about the world, capacity to infer, to think, and to understand phenomena. Hence, cognition includes thinking, remembering, reasoning, creativity, problem solving, imagining, judging, deciding, and language skills. When the child receives numerous stimuli through his or her sense organs, can categorize those stimuli in order to give significance to the information they bring. The other aspect of development is language. Language is one of the important aspects of development. It refers to emerging abilities in receptive and expressive language. This domain includes understanding and using one or more languages. Language development is among the most important tasks of the first years of a child's life. Language is the key to learning across all domains. Specific language skills in early childhood are predictive of later success in learning to read and write. There is a direct relationship in the increase in the vocabulary and the child's rapidly developing cognitive abilities. The other aspect is socio-emotional development. It refers to the skills necessary to foster secure attachment with others, with adults, maintain healthy relationship that regulates one's behavior and emotions, and develop a healthy concept of social personal identity. Positive social and emotional development provides a critical foundation for a lifelong development and learning. Early childhood social and emotional well-being predicts favorable social, behavioral, and academic adjustments into middle childhood and adolescence. So socio-emotional development is one of the important aspects of development in childhood. The last but not least aspect of development is moral development. Moral development is an important part of cognitive development. It is also closely related with social and emotional aspect. It is also moral development refers to the ability to differentiate the right and wrong, or the bad and good in terms of societal norms. So children observe other children's and also adults' behavior and gradually develop a sense of right and wrong. So these are aspects of development. After we see the aspects of development, the Unit 5 is about milestones of child development. This milestone of development refers to the age at which most children should have reached a certain stage of development. For example, we expect babies to walk at around 18 months and also smile at 6 weeks in the period. So the important thing to remember is that all children develop at different rates. As we have said earlier in Principles of Development, individuals develop at different rates, and a child may be earlier in achieving some aspect of development and later in others. Let us see, for example, gross motor development. At the age of 0 to 3 months, the baby stretches arms and legs. From 3 months to 6 months, turns over partially or completely. From 6 months to 9 months, when placed facing down, child positions himself to crawl. From 9 to 12, changes positions by himself, from lying down to sitting up. From 12 months to 16 months, walks unaided. So at around 16 months, the baby walks alone. So from 16 to 20 months, squats, pick up objects and stands up. From 20 to 24 months, hops in place with both feet. From 24 to 36 months, stands on one foot without aid. From 36 to 48 months, balances while walking on a board. And from 14 months to 16 months, hops on foot at least 5 times. From 16 to 17 months, jumps with feet together over a rope, head loosely. So about 2 years, hops in place with both feet. These are just for example. Biological lifespan begins at the moment of conception. We almost all believe that life starts or begins during birth, but biologically, life begins at the moment of conception. Conception occurs in the fallopian tube when the male sperm meets the female egg or the ovum and fertilizes it. The fertilized ovum now contains a genetic material from both mother and father, a total of 46 chromosomes, and a new life begins. Over the next 9 months, surprising advances in physical growth occur. So the fertilized egg becomes complex newborn, capable of surviving with assistance outside of the womb. The prenatal months are, when we say prenatal, it is the time before birth, are not only a time of dramatic developmental change, but also the most hazardous period of the life course. Let us see stages of prenatal development. There are 3 stages in prenatal development. So we already said that prenatal is time period between conception and birth. Typically, prenatal development begins with fertilization and ends with birth, lasting between 266 to 280 days, or from 38 to 40 weeks, or 10 lunar months. It can be divided into 3 periods: germinal, embryonic, and fetal period. The first period of prenatal is germinal period. It is from conception to 2 weeks. During the germinal period, the fertilized egg, called a zygote, undergoes rapid cell division and grows. So, as we have said, life already begins during conception, and it undergoes cell division and grows. Within about 30 hours of fertilization, the egg divides into 2 cells. Within 30 hours of fertilization, the egg divides into 2 cells, then 4, and so on. After 5 days, it has arrived in uterus. It will arrive in uterus. The second period is embryonic period, from 2 to 8 weeks. The embryonic cells are divided into 3 layers, that is ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. The ectoderm, which forms the outer layer of the body, the baby or the body, the skin, the nails, hairs, and also the nervous system, that is brain, spinal cord, and nerves. The endoderm forms organs of digestive, urinary, and respiratory system. The mesoderm, which develops into the heart, muscles, blood, and bones. During this time, major structures and organ systems begin to form, and during 4th week, example, the brain begins to develop. A primitive heartbeat starts, and the eyes, ears, mouth begins to form. This means around 8 weeks, it already starts to beat, the heart beats, the eyes, the formation of the eye, ears, mouth begins to form. By 8 weeks after conception, the embryo has most of its basic organ systems. Facial features have formed, and even fingers and toes have appeared. The last period in prenatal period is the fetal period, 8 weeks up to birth. During this period, major organs grow in size and complexity. The muscular and nervous system develop, and the sex organs form. By the 4th and 5th months, mothers can begin to feel the fetus moving within them. So I think we know from experience that mothers begin to feel the fetus movement around 4th and 5th months. The fetus starts in response to sudden loud noises outside the womb, starts to respond to outside sounds, and he can be detected. Brain development is dramatic. Nearly all nerve cells that the brain will use throughout life are formed, and regions become specialized in function. As birth approaches, the fetus grows significantly in size and adds protective fat stores in preparation for life. So these 3 are the prenatal period: embryonic, the germinal, and the fetal period. So harmful substances such as drugs, radiation that invade the womb and result in birth defects are called teratogens. Teratogens are especially damaging in the embryonic stage because it is a critical period in prenatal development. So the most critical period of prenatal is embryonic stage. So if the baby exposed to these teratogens, it will result in lifelong damage. So later, during the fetus stage, the environment provided by the mother affects the baby's size, behavior, intelligence, and health. So rather than the formation of organs and limbs. Serious malnutrition during pregnancy greatly increases risk of stillbirth, low birth weight, brain damage, and infant death during the first year of life. So the pregnant mother have to feed herself with good nutrition in order to avoid these consequences. So diseases, when we say diseases, many diseases are capable of injuring a growing fetus. A woman who experiences prolonged or severe anxiety during her pregnancy has increased risk of a difficult pregnancy, including more nausea and vomiting, miscarriage, premature delivery, and longer and more difficult labor. Younger mothers under the age of 60 has a high risk having a small and premature baby or becoming anemic and suffering from high blood pressure. Older first trimester mothers also above the age of 35, a risk of having a baby with a chromosomal abnormality. So a mother under age of 60 and also above 35 has a risk. The most common abnormality associated with the age is a mental retardation. If the mother is over the age of 35, the common abnormality associated with the age is mental retardation for the fetus. Women who drink alcohol during pregnancy put their children at risk for fetus alcohol syndrome. So mothers have to protect or prevent themselves from alcohol during pregnancy. This is all about milestone. I think I have to summarize what we have seen today. We have seen today that developmental psychology is a subfield of psychology that studies age-related changes during the lifespan. When we say lifespan, it starts from conception up to death. So there are principles of development. One of the principles of development are, the first one is early foundations are critical, and the second principle is development follows a definite and predictable pattern, and all individuals are different. We have to know and understand that all individuals are different and develop at different rate, and development is aided by stimulation. So especially children need stimulation to develop faster. And the other principle was every aspect of development is interrelated. So physical as well as cognitive, language, and socio-emotional development are interrelated. And we have seen also aspects of human development. One of the aspects is physical development, and we already discussed about physical development, motor development, cognitive development, and language development, and socio-emotional and moral development as well. And we have seen also milestones of child development, and we started seeing the prenatal period of life, that is from conception to birth. And there are 3 periods: the germinal period, the embryonic period, and the fetal period, and what should be avoided during these periods. Thank you for having me today.